Welcome to Senior Living Marketing Perspectives. I'm Debbie Howard, co-founder of Senior Living Smart. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Patty Servaes, founder of Elder Resource Benefits Consulting, which is a mouthful, so we affectionately call it ERBC. Welcome, Patty.
Thanks for having me here, Debbie. I always like being reminded that I'm not a marketer. I named the company way too long a name.
That's right, but that's okay. That's not what you do. You help people, though, in so many other ways. So first of all, tell us a little bit about ERBC and also about, your accreditation.
Elder Resource Benefits Consulting was founded in 2005 to help seniors navigate different benefits that are available to them, but we very quickly honed in on the VA's basic pension with aid and attendance. I am a VA accredited agent. That does not mean that I work for the VA. I do not. Very similar to how when you hire an accountant to help you with your taxes, they don't work for the IRS. I do not work for the VA. I work for my clients. And what Elder Resource Benefits Consulting really focuses on is making sure that people get the VA benefit as quickly as possible and as soon as they are eligible for it.
Yeah, and you do such a great job. I mean, we go back, I was thinking today, Patty, I think we met in like 2000.
I know exactly.
Do you?
It was 2005. August of 2005 is when we met.
Yeah, it's been a while. Your business was just kind of defining. I was VP of Sales and Marketing at Emeritus, and somebody kind enough, I think Julie, made an introduction to us, and we were in the market, and we were able to meet. And we ended up bringing your services into our entire division because we recognized that the value of the veterans benefit, but also how difficult it was for families to really navigate through the application process alone. And so we just made ERBC kind of part of our kind of how do we overcome financial objections? I mean, that is a major thing that we're dealing with. And just to kind of frame our conversation for the listeners, we are recording in about the third week of May. So we are in coronavirus time frame, and our leads are down 30 to 50%. And we have to kind of have everything that we can in our toolbox to convert. If we have fewer leads, we've got to do a better job converting. And I really look at the veterans benefit as being something that all operators should be very well versed on and really proactively communicating as a way to help people make senior living more affordable.
Absolutely. We talk to people all the time. At the beginning of the conversation, they might be in a bad mood. We're not going to be able to afford this. This is kind of silly. And by the end of the conversation, they're like, oh my gosh, really? Dad is really going to get an extra $1,911 to pay for assisted living? And it changes from, we didn't think we'd be able to afford this, to, oh my gosh, he's going to have enough money to pay for the next 6 years and he's 94. So let's move in.
Yeah, it really can make the difference between someone being able to move into a senior living community and just not having that option. And it also is a way for people to be able to stay longer in your community because they can stretch out the other assets that they have with the supplement, which is tax-free and is a lifetime benefit. So maybe just for our listeners, it's so funny. Everybody I talk to says, oh, I know all about the veterans benefit. And then we mystery shop them as a consumer calling and saying, my dad was a veteran. Can you tell me? And I will tell you, not even 9 out of 10 times, Patty, 10 out of 10 times when I mystery shop about this, they have some aspect of it wrong. It's almost like there's an indoctrination of this urban legend of the original criteria that has not evolved. So right. Can you clear it up once and for all, what it is, how much it is in today's value, and understanding that it improves every year on behalf of the veterans. Let's kind of cover the foundation, and then we'll get into some of the more nuanced areas.
Okay, so I like to think of it in a stair-step fashion. right? There are three main criteria, and they build on each other in a stair-step fashion. And the first criteria is, did you serve during a period of war? The second is, do you meet the medical criteria? And the third is, do you meet the financial criteria? And I like to tell people, this is not a yes or no benefit, it's if and when. And the amount of money that you can get from it is so large that it's important to figure out that when, so that you don't miss out on even 1 month of getting the benefit. In 2020, a surviving spouse can get up to $1,228 per month. This is a tax-free benefit, so they get to spend the entire amount. Nothing is taken out for taxes. A single veteran can get up to $1,911 per month, and a well veteran with ill spouse can get $1,500 a month, and a married veteran where the veteran himself needs care can get $2,266 per month. So we're really talking game changer, especially when you're talking about overcoming financial hurdles. That well veteran ill spouse is a very misunderstood one. The veteran himself could still be living at home, and his wife has moved into a community. Maybe she's in dementia care, maybe she's in regular assisted living, and the veteran can still qualify for $1,500 a month to offset those costs. People are constantly told, if the veteran doesn't need the care, there's no money there, and that's just not true. A big change is the asset test. Everybody can have up to $129,094. That would be a couple or an individual. There's no distinction, but $129,094. These figures all go up every year by the same percentage that Social Security goes up. So if we don't have a cost of living adjustment, the VA numbers stay the same. If we do have a cost of living adjustment for Social Security, the VA numbers go up by the same amount. I will say that they go up pretty much whenever I absolutely have them memorized dead cold. That's when we'll see a cost of living adjustment. So I try to help everybody out by memorizing them early.
That's great. And so that kind of asset test is a lot higher than what most people represent, which is so important to know. And does that include the value of the home?
It does not include the value of the home. And a lot of people don't realize how big the asset change was compared to how it used to be. The big change that was done in October of 2018, the house is never counted, and the house still does not count. But one of the beautiful things is, if you rent your home in order to, well, it doesn't matter why you rent it, but if you rent your home, they're still not going to count the house against you. It used to be if you rented your home, it was then an investment property and it counted against you. Now, that's not the case. And so what I did before in the South, because of the lower value of a lot of the homes, I'm now able to do across the United States, which is when I talk to a family, they've got a home, they've got the VA benefit, or they're going to get the VA benefit, and they're still short. We can say, well, what are you going to do with the home? Are you going to sell it? Is there a family member maybe who could rent it? Are you interested in renting it out just straight? And we do the math to make sure that they can keep the home and more than pay for the assisted living when they rent the house and get their VA benefit.
So the only time that the home can really count towards your asset threshold is if you sell it.
That's correct. Yeah.
But renting it just can be another opportunity for additional revenue.
Yes, it can be. And another thing that families like, particularly if they wanted to keep the home, is installment sale. The VA is very favorable to installment sale, and it allows the family to protect it from Medicaid as well. They would have to work with an attorney in their own state who's familiar with installment sales and with Medicaid law.
Okay.
But
awesome.
We assist them with that.
So you have this kind of scenario, which is a stepping stone. So you first of all cover the periods of war. I know that there's sometimes confusion too about what counts, like not just the war times, but which service area counts. So can you clear that up a little bit? You know, if you're in the reserves, or if you're, you know, not in typical Army, Air Force, you know, Navy, what else counts outside of that?
Okay, so it's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and U.S. Coast Guard. It's surprising. Lots of people forget that U.S. Coast Guard counts. For National Guard and Reserve, well, that's not active duty, and this is an active duty benefit. So how you can get it if you were in the National Guard or the Reserves is if you were called up active. So that means that, and we saw this a lot with the Gulf War, people who are in the National Guard or in the Reserves, they were called up active for 6 months, for 9 months. If they did their tour of duty and then they were discharged, they now have active duty service and they're qualified for the benefit. We saw this a lot with World War II. Everybody was called up. With the Gulf War, everybody was called up. Now, when we get to Vietnam, it's a different story. We have a lot of reservists in the Vietnam area who were not called up for active service. So that is important. And it can be disappointing for people, right? They see active duty training on their dad's discharge, but active duty training is not active service. We like to tell people, don't try to tell your prospect no, right? You don't want to have a relationship like that with them right from the beginning. Just say, you know what, call these people. Your first phone call is free, and they're going to go through all of the steps with you. And the first thing we do is try to make sure that they meet the period of war criteria.
I'm so glad you said that, Patty, because I think too often the salesperson decides to take it on themselves to qualify. And more often than not, they actually disqualify people who should be getting the benefit because it's impossible. I mean, this is what you do all day. You know this
Right.
inside out and backwards. You've testified before the Senate. You're advocating on behalf of veterans.
Right.
So,
Testify is a little strong. I've had discussions with many congressmen. Yes. But
okay.
testify, I haven't been there like in the Godfather setup where I'm testifying to a group of them. That would
Maybe
be
that day
scary.
will come. That would be scary.
Yeah.
So, so I think it's important just to find out from a sales perspective. We just want to train our salespeople to ask the question of, was your parent a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran? And if the answer is yes, then have them call ERBC to go through the rest of the qualification process, because there are a lot of nuances, there are a lot of complexities, and we don't want the salespeople to spend their time learning all about that, nor do I want them to learn about annuities or any other financial packages. But that's what your team is really trained to do.
Right. Well, we'd like to say, please do not become that know-it-all neighbor next door that gives somebody the wrong advice and costs them tens of thousands of dollars, right? Just have them give us a call. And we run into people sometimes and they're like, well, I'm not sure if he served during a period of war. I mean, he was in for 20 years, but I don't think he served during a period of war. And we get to say, well, the United States has not gone 20 years without being in a war since World War II. So I know that he served during a period of war. And in addition, if they really don't know, think maybe he never talked about it, we're not sure, then we'll say, well, let's, continue our chat and we'll help you order the discharge papers. It's free. And if they come back with there's no discharge found, no harm, no foul, nothing bad happens, right? But you crossed your I's and dotted your T's for your mom or your dad, so they still feel good about it. And we make it easy for them.
Yeah, you really do. So then if we've established that first tier, now we're moving up into, do you have needs that meet the criteria? And I know there's confusion about that as well. So can you kind of give us an overview? Because I know for a while people were saying if you're in independent living, you absolutely cannot get this benefit. And you've taught me so much over the years that I know that there are some exceptions that are constantly being misquoted. So can you take us through that?
Sure. That was a really big change. And that was one of the big advocacies that I did with Congress, utilizing the Argentum folks, utilizing people that I had gotten the benefit for who were in assisted living. In 2018, that change that was made, they were proposing to remove independent living entirely from the benefit. And they were proposing to really make it a lot tougher. And by doing that advocacy and getting lots of people to write their congressman, we really opened it up for independent living. And so now under the 2018 rules, if you need the assistance of another person with at least 2 activities of daily living, which that's a carryover, that's the same rule that it always was, but they added or need custodial care, which I know is very difficult for those of us in the industry to understand. That does not mean nursing home care. Custodial care means that you need regular supervision because of a mental, physical, cognitive, or developmental issue. So as long as your doctor says that you are unsafe to live at home alone, that you need regular supervision, you are going to be able to deduct the cost of your assisted living fee or the cost of your independent living fee as a medical expense when working through the VA benefit. So that's huge, right? So I'm going to tell my favorite story if you're ready. Right?
I'm ready.
So we had a gentleman, because what's excluded? You're not, the VA does not count as ADLs, meal preparation, transportation, medication management, or housekeeping. Those are the first 4 things all of our seniors need, right? So if those are excluded, a lot of people think, I can't get it. But if you need regular supervision, you can get it. So I had a gentleman called me late at night on the last, second to last day of the month. So it was on August 30th. And the 31st was a business day. So he called me after hours. And his dad had moved into an independent living that day. It was an emergency move-in. And so the CRD had called me and said, we have an emergency move-in. Can you please talk to this man? I know it's 8 o'clock at night, but can you please do it? I said, sure. I get to the activities of daily living question and, what does your dad need help with? Oh, he doesn't need help with anything. He's fine. Well, is he still driving? Now, you are allowed to drive on this benefit, but we like to ask that because sometimes family members are not really as in tune to what their parents need, right? And we're trying to figure out how it fits in with the VA benefit. Well, he has a car, but we left that in Phoenix. He doesn't really know New Jersey. We're not going to bring the car out here. Could not get him to tell me anything his dad needs. And I said, okay, let's just back up here. I was told this was an emergency. It's late at night. Why was it an emergency move-in from Phoenix to New Jersey? He goes, oh, I went out to visit my dad last weekend in, hold on a second. That's a child walking through the podcast. Shut the door, please. I need to regroup. Okay, why was that an emergency? And he said, oh, I went to visit my dad last weekend in Phoenix, and he made me a sandwich for lunch, and it was a rancid ham sandwich on green moldy bread. And I was able to say, oh, not fine at all, right? Because if he wasn't in the independent living where they're giving him his meals, he would be eating rancid ham sandwiches on green moldy bread in what, 2-3 weeks, however long it takes for that ham to get rancid. So if we had written he needs meal preparation, well, meal preparation is excluded and he would not have gotten the benefit. But when we write he needs regular supervision, will eat rotten food, then he gets the benefit, right? What we like to say is, what works with the VA? The truth. Getting the truth in the paperwork in the way that the VA is going to recognize it. That's really the trick.
Wow, that's a great story. And with the paperwork for the VA, how long typically does it take for you to get the benefit kind of through the system?
Our average time to award after we file the application is 4 months. Now, this is going to sound really strange. We have not redone our numbers during COVID because even though the VA says the backlog is growing, we're seeing awards being granted in 4 weeks, 2 months. All I can think is that people working at home, when they say, okay, I'm going to log in and I'm going to work, they're actually sitting there and doing the work instead of, maybe getting called out to meetings. So we've really been pleasantly surprised during this COVID time. The end of April just saw more awards granted than we've seen in a long time at a month end. So I'm sticking with 4, even though COVID's going to drop us down a little bit if this continues.
Okay. So, and then when the payment comes in, that it's retroactive to the first day of the month. You can maybe explain it better than I can.
Sure. So what happens is when somebody talks to us and it looks good, right? Their income, their service looks good, their health requirement looks good, their financials look good, then we lock them in. They might not even be living in your community yet. We lock them in. Now, let's say that, and so if we were to lock them in today, May 22nd, that means that the VA benefit would start accumulating June 1st, right? Which can really be helpful. When we talk to somebody and they're not moving in, let's say till August, and they're really worried and, they've got their community fee, etc., we can do the math and say, you know what? We can lock you in today, May, and you'll get June and July's payment retroactive after you move into the community and we file the paperwork. So they move in August. Let's say we file in August. Let's say they get their award in December. It would pay them back to June 1st. So that's an extra 2 months of the benefit without having 2 months of assisted living cost. So people like that.
Yeah, they do. And I believe that some people in the industry have kind of gotten in trouble over the years for moving people in anticipation of the benefit and then accruing and not charging them the full rent, and then thinking that they can catch it up with the retroactive payment. Can you speak to that?
So we really do not recommend that people do that. Okay, there are a couple of reasons. The big reason is VA money is not attachable. And so that means when the person gets their $10,000 retro check, it comes with instructions. And at the bottom of the instruction page, it says, this money is not attachable. And if anybody's told you that you owe it to them, they're wrong. So we've had people who get their check, read that, move out of your community and move to another community and say, I don't have to give you this money. And then people have gone to court to sue the people. And no, you're not allowed to defer the rent and attach that VA money because it's special and it's not attachable. What you want to do is you want to charge your resident the full amount. If they happen to fall behind, that's a different story. But if you create the linkage, then really you've created a contract that's not valid at the beginning. So we always school assisted livings that talk to us about that, about how important it is to go ahead and charge the full amount. And if they fall behind, you haven't given up any of your legal rights to any money, right? Where if you've linked it to the VA benefit, you really have. The other reason is if that person happens to die, then we can help you do an accrued benefit filing on that, on the money that the VA owed that person. And the VA is going to look at the contract. And if in the contract it says you don't have to pay us until the VA grants the money, then the VA does not have to release the accrued benefit to you. But if a community files and says we were charging her, $4,000 per month, and she was paying us $3,000 and she fell behind, so we really carried $1,000 a month of her last illness, then we can get the VA to release the funds to you for the amount that you're behind. The lesser of what the VA owed or the amount that you're owed is what the VA will reimburse you.
These are all reasons we need ERBC, because we don't want to learn any of this.
When I first started doing this in 2005, it was like, oh, if a person dies, that's over. There's nothing you can do. And I really spearheaded the accrued benefit side of this benefit.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
That's great. So now we move up to the third step, which is the income criteria. So a couple questions there, just because I know there's some confusion. One is the role of annuities. Can you speak to that?
So, yeah. Distributions from annuities are counted as income. The VA, part of the whole driving force of the 2018 change was that a lot of companies that say that they assist with VA benefits are really financial planners whose main goal is to sell you an annuity or get you to put your assets into trust. And the VA said, hey, that is not the spirit of the law. This benefit is supposed to be for veterans and their surviving spouses who don't really have enough money to pay for their care. And so they tried to make it much harder to buy an annuity and qualify for this benefit. Now, ERBC has never sold annuities or referred to anybody who does. We're strictly on the, advice and let's make this happen side of things, not in the trying to get you to move your assets. So one of the things that they did is they said, hey, if you buy an annuity that does not have a cash surrender value, so you can't get money out, then the amount you paid for that annuity is going to count as an asset against you, right? So that can be, very tricky, what you do there. And we can walk people through that, although, like I said, we don't refer people to anybody. If they wanted to do that, we would talk to the person that they're working with to make sure everything was being done correctly.
Yeah. Great. Well, a couple of the things that I've learned from you over the years, and I've learned a lot. One of them is that oftentimes you can upsell a larger apartment and a more expensive apartment, and that really is to the benefit of the veteran, which I think is so counterintuitive because, people think of this benefit as being something that is more of a almost like a poverty benefit. And so of course it's going to be the smallest studio. And yet that kind of expense to asset and income ratio, oftentimes having a bigger, more expensive apartment ends up benefiting the veterans.
Oh, sure.
So can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I remember the first time that I did this, it was probably in about 2007. I had a lady and she was moving into an assisted living, and I was talking with the daughter and the mom at the same time. And it was going to be about $800 was her benefit. And her mom said, well, wait, I thought it was going to be $1,228. And I said, well, how the VA works is they look at your gross income and minus what you're paying for your health insurance and your assisted living. And based on what she's paying to her assisted living, she's $400 in the positive. So we need to minus $400 from the maximum VA rate. We'll use $1,228. And the mother, smart as a whip, 80 years old, she goes, so wait, maybe I can have the room that overlooks the waterfall because that room's only $300 more. And if I take the $300 more expensive room, the VA is going to give me $300 more and I'll get $1,100? Absolutely. So we definitely, can get people sometimes from a studio to a 1-bedroom. Everybody's trying to save pennies, but the VA allows them to live a little better by giving them this extra money.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love that story.
Yeah.
And then I think the other part is, you always say it's not yes, no, but it's if and when. And so if you do the application and you find out that they are over asset, I love that you always say that people have their own magic number, that the VA isn't imposing a number, but each person has that individual threshold and their own magic number, which you can almost project out so that people can use it in financial planning to say, great news, you don't need this benefit today. Yay, you have too much money. That's awesome. Yeah. However, in 6 months, with the spend that's going to be happening at this rate for assisted living, you'll hit it then. So can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Sure. So what we do is we look at your income, we look at your current assets, and let's say you had $150,000 or $160,000. We could say, all right, if you don't change anything, you're going to be there in X amount of time by doing the math. And my background is I was a CPA with Price Waterhouse and did mergers and acquisitions with the Boston Globe and the New York Times. So doing the math is what I love. And so we have designed our database and system to do the math for us. Now, if somebody were to come to me and I say, okay, it looks like you're going to qualify in 6 months, I might say, but Do you have a car? Does your car have a loan on it? Because a car is allowed. Maybe you have a $10,000 car loan on the car. You could pay it off. That's allowed. Do you own a home? Is there a mortgage? You can make a pay down on your mortgage. There are things that you can do legally under the VA process to reduce your assets, as long as it is something for the veteran, for the claimant, let's say, for the veteran or the surviving spouse. You can prepay a funeral, although we rarely recommend that our people prepay a funeral. The reason we don't like to recommend you prepay your funeral is if the person passes away before the VA has paid the funds out, and they don't owe any money to the assisted living, the family can pay for the funeral after their parent's death, and the VA will reimburse them the lesser of what they owe or what they paid for the funeral. So mom's paying all of her funds in. The VA owes her $14,000. She passes away. She's prepaid the funeral. That's really the end of the story. But if she hasn't prepaid the funeral and a kid puts it on their credit card or writes a check for the funeral, they're going to get $14,000 from the VA, or whichever is less, what the VA owed them or the funeral costs. So I really like holding the VA's feet to the fire and making sure that we get that. I can see you now. You're moving now. I think we're back. I don't know when it cut out.
It cut out right when you were talking about the 14,000 or whatever was less.
Okay. So the VA will reimburse the family the $14,000 that the VA owed them or what the family paid for the funeral. So I really like holding the VA's feet to the fire and making sure that if at all possible, we get that VA money to the claimant, or in the event of their death, to the assisted living or to the family, right? So we don't like to say prepay the funeral. We like to look at other things. If a person is going to be selling their home or renting their home, there's probably some updating that needs to happen to that home. Do that now and start getting your VA benefit, right? So we talked through things like that with the family. If the family, now the VA has a 3-year look back period for gifts, and the math on that is pretty fun too. So if somebody's made a gift, oftentimes if they've already talked to somebody else, they're like, oh, I can't get the benefit for 3 years. It is not like Medicaid, where you made a gift, you're out for 5 years. It doesn't work like that. It's completely different. The maximum you're going to be out is 3 years. And we're going to be able to do some math and get you, in most cases, get you in before that 3-year period. I mean, if you gifted $1 million, no. But, you know, if you gifted a smallish amount, you know, we're going to be able to work with it. And at a minimum, we're going to be able to do the math and explain to you, here is when you're eligible to get the benefit, and here's why.
Yeah, I know it gives the families great pleasure, you know, just to have that peace of mind of saying, in October, we can apply because we're going to hit our magic number.
Right.
And so they can plan for it, and it can be kind of a financial planning tool. Yeah. And I think that's important. It's not like, well, we didn't qualify, I guess I'll never get that benefit. It's like, nope, that you might get it in 4 months or 6 months, and we can plan for it. And the senior living provider also, I'm sure, would love to know that those funds will be available within this time period as well. Right. So let's talk a little bit about, how senior living operators are leveraging the benefit, maybe where there are missed opportunities, how we can do a better job. Because as you know, with COVID, there's more resistance to moving into senior living. Certainly the media has not been a friend in creating a positive perception. And so we're seeing that, lead volume is down, website traffic is down. And so we have to do really everything we can to be able to overcome objections and to convert the leads that we do have, because we have fewer of them. We have to be, I think, a lot more creative and a lot more proactive in overcoming barriers. So I know you work with a lot of senior living providers, and maybe you can give us a sense of people who are doing it well, how are they incorporating this into their marketing and working with prospects? And, where are the opportunities for us to improve?
So what we're seeing, the ones who were really still having high volumes of calls from, we created a little video saying, hey, how can you help your parent during this time of social distancing? Now's the perfect time to check out the VA benefit. So we're talking to people who are saying, well, they're not accepting any people into the community right now, but we want to know how the VA benefit's going to impact them. And we can go through all of the machinations with them. And we can say to them, hey, look, as long as your mom moves in by October or November, whatever the date is, you're going to get the full benefit back to June 1st. If they move in January or February at the rates that you've told us, then maybe they're going to get $1,000 a month. But again, back to June 1st. So that's really, it makes the child feel good. And it's not just the prospects, it's the people who are currently living in your communities, right? Their kids aren't seeing them. They might be feeling at loose ends. Now is the perfect time to remind them, hey, check into that VA benefit. Even if you checked into it years ago, the rules have changed. Check in again. It's free to check with us, right? We love to have people call us. And let me tell you, we have people call us who don't qualify today. They call us back 4, 5, 6 years later when they qualified because they were paying attention. But with that change in 2018, we sent an email out to everybody saying, it's changed. If we told you, when you would qualify and it's in the future, call us again now. So I think it's important to make the prospects and your current residents' families feel that you're really paying attention to what's going on and being sensitive to the fact they can't be with their parents and giving them something they can really do to help their parents at this time.
That's a great point. So we could even do, a campaign out to existing family members to say, let's see if we can help you get this benefit, take the financial pressure off, allow your parent to enjoy living in our community longer, and let's just find out, if and when you are able to tap into those funds. And then in our database with all the leads that we do have that we bought and paid for, maybe doing a promotion to say, we can help you with this.
Right.
And even because I think that I saw a statistic that said, I think a Place for Mom surveyed people in their database, and they probably have the best data of all of us. And 29% said, based on COVID, they would probably delay their decision, not put, but just I'm not comfortable now. So this delay can be a perfect time to say, well, in this delay, at least prepare, at least plan,
right?
So that when you do feel comfortable, you'll kind of have all of that information. So I really like that. So tell people a little bit about how they can work with ERBC. I know you have a couple of different kind of partnership programs. Can you kind of take us through that?
Sure. So the way that most people work with us is they refer the client, the prospect to us, the prospect family. We call it the financially responsible party. And their first phone call is free. And we go through everything with them, and there's no sales pitch of any product. However, if they do want to work with us, there's a one-time fee of $800 for the initial analysis. That's what the VA allows us to charge for, the initial analysis that we do to determine if they're going to qualify for VA benefits or not. So it's $800. There are some items that can cause that rate to be a little higher. Like, for example, if it's a common law marriage, that requires a lot of investigation, a lot of work to make sure that it truly is a common law marriage. If there is a trust, we have to go through and make sure that we think that the trust is going to meet VA muster. So there are things that can cause it to go up. But that's all discussed with the family in the beginning. And then we assist them never at any additional charge for the remainder of their life. So let's say they start in your community in independent living. They hire us then. Then when they move to assisted living and there's more paperwork required, there's no additional fee. Then they move to a nursing home, no additional fee. So that's really, our favorite way to work with folks. We also have a program, ERBC has a program where assisted livings can advertise on our website, one flat fee per year. And then those folks, we assist their residents and we do not charge them for the pre-application analysis. So those are our two ways.
Yeah, it's good to have those kind of choices because most of our clients do have kind of that sales toolbox where we have, the ability, in order to get a commitment to either take something off the first month's rent or help with moving expenses. So this type of cost would fit right into a typical sales toolbox if they're not on the advertising plan.
Right. I mean, we've had people, they're moving in and they want to try the VA benefit on their own, right? Well, the VA tells you to expect 12 to 18 months to get the award. And then the salesperson is like, trying it on your own, that is not good, and then it's up to the salesperson whether they want to say, you know what, if you use a known provider, we will reimburse you for their fee. We'll take that fee off of your first month's rent, or we'll take that fee off of your 12th month rent. After you've been here a while, we'll give you a little discount. Assisted livings are not allowed to pay for the application analysis, so they can't, write a check to us for that, but they can do what they want with their own toolbox, like you said.
Right. Great. Well, I really appreciate the update. I always learn something every time I talk to you about this benefit.
I'm great. I'm glad.
And I just feel like this is the time to kind of give everybody a refresher, let them know that there's a resource out there to help, and any barrier that we can eliminate right now in terms of getting those commitments and growing our occupancy, we should take advantage of all of them. And certainly the veterans benefit is a very important one. So Patty, how would people get in touch with you if they want more information?
Well, they can always go to our website, elderbenefitsconsulting.com, or they can give me a call, 508. I wish I knew the number by heart, but I don't. Let's see if I've got it right. 508-485-0039 is a number that you can call and get in touch with me. If your folks want to chat with us, they can go right on our website and book an appointment and have an analysis. It's the end of May right now, so if you know somebody, or if it's the end of the month of June or July when you're watching this, you can always go right to our website and get an appointment, and we would be able to lock them in the next day. So we hate it when somebody misses that month end delay, because a month's delay is a month's lost pay for VA benefits.
That's right. Well, thanks so much for sharing your senior living marketing perspectives with us today, Patty.
Thank you for inviting me, Debbie. It's always a pleasure.
We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.